Welcome to Tech Talk with R&E Automated. I'm your host, Jordan Dieterle. Join us as we dive into the world of automation and manufacturing, bringing you expert insights from industrial professionals and business leaders. Whether you're a business owner, engineer, or simply passionate about technology, this podcast is your go-to source for the latest trends and innovations in the field. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tech Talk with R&E Automated. I'm your host, Jordan Dieterle. Today here I have a high-level employee at R&E Automated. Bill has been with R&E for 12 years and 8 months, almost 13 years now. He has led a variety of roles for us, and within R&E, including robotics manager, he's also did the field service manager, facilities manager, operations manager, engineering resource manager, and now workforce engagement manager. I'm looking forward to this one with Bill. We're going to give you a high-level view of R&E Automated and what we're looking to do as we expand R&E. Hi, Bill.
Hey, Jordan. How you been, man?
I've been good. Looking forward to kind of getting your insight on R&E here.
Yeah.
So Bill, can you kind of give me a overview of what R&E Automated Systems provides for our listeners and kind of get a general idea for them to see what R&E is all about?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a very big subject. You know, when somebody sees R&E Automated, they instantly think that we're an integrator, that we build automated systems, and that's not the bread and butter of the company. So what we are is two separate business units. The first one is field service. It's automation field service. It's controls engineers, robot programmers, joining engineers, which are typically degreed welding engineers, as well as a host of maintenance personnel that are out in the industry. They're all W-2 R&E employees, but they're out anywhere from the small mom and pop integrator shops all the way up through the OEMs providing automation field service support to our customers. And then the other side of the business, which is almost equally as large now, is product build. We do mostly sheet metal assemblies, doors, hoods, lift gates, fenders, aftermarket stuff that's come out of production, and we run it for our customers for crash vehicles and things like that. So we stamp our own product, we assemble our own product, everything in the assembly from spot welding to hem seal and things like that. And then we also e-coat out of our South Carolina plant where you're headquartered at, and then package. And we've just started dabbling in direct production to our customers. That's a whole different animal. So we're moving into that slowly. But yeah, R&E is a big company. And the neat part of it is that our field service can also support our in-house as we integrate new assembly lines on our floor. So that's the nutshell.
Yeah. What types of services does our field service provide for our customers and internally?
So it's all automation field services, from the controls engineers, the guys and gals who program the robots, people who develop the weld schedules for the sheet metal, install that into the weld timers, and then also on the back end, they validate the welds for their quality, their ability to stand up in crashes. And then the maintenance side of it started small, but it's become a very large portion of our business. That's maintenance technicians. And then we also have plant support services like your IEs and MEs and quality engineers, things like that.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, we're supporting a variety of fields or industries, all over, which is pretty big, which I think we have about 400, if I'm not mistaken, in field service. Okay, good. I think they have a general idea. What about the manufacturing side? I know you said e-coat. A lot of people don't know what e-coat even means, even though I'm here in South Carolina facility with the e-coat. A lot of people don't understand that. So can you explain that for our listeners?
E-coating is electrocoating. Yeah, I'm not the chemist or the guy, the mad scientist that comes up with the process, but it's taking that bare sheet metal and putting a coating on it through an electrolysis process that causes the chemical to bind to the metal before it's painted. It's like a pre-primer, if you will. It stops a rust and gives the sheet metal a lot longer lifespan.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we have a
And then
large automated assembly line, in South Carolina that takes these on a conveyor system through the whole process. It's a very beautiful thing to watch.
yeah, it's very slow moving, but it's pretty neat. Um, so obviously, we also do like manufacturing. And you did say it was like service parts, but we're slowly getting into building, you say, out parts for manufacturers, like
Yeah.
over a lifespan or period of time. Is that correct too?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I can't speak to the long-term goal of that, to whether to be primarily service parts or to move in direct production, but we have started moving in that direction.
Okay. So there's a lot of expansion coming, you say, which is
Yes.
part of the reason, obviously, we wanted to kind of tailor to this episode here for everybody to kind of get an idea of what's coming within R&E. And I do know there is one other element that we do have. It's called end of line testing. Could you elaborate a little bit on that, Bill,
Yeah.
too?
Yeah, end-of-line testing is a division that we purchased from Siemens when they were getting out of that field. And what it is in every automotive plant and even agricultural plants that build tractors and dozers and things like that, at the end of line, you got to plug into the vehicle and download software and check that every sensor is sensoring, if you will, as it's supposed to be, that the fuel tank gauge is working properly, that all the USB connections are functioning as they should be. Because, I mean, a vehicle is just a nerve system of wires. And so he's got to go in and check all that. So as
Yeah.
the cars roll off, R&E manufactures the panels and the connectors and the cables that do all of that work.
Yeah. No, I had to jot that down because I loved how you said it's a nerve system.
Yeah, that absolutely is.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Anybody who's tried to find an electrical problem in their vehicle out in their garage or in their barn knows exactly that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely know. I've had that happen myself. So
Yep.
yeah, no, that's good. Um, no, that's kind of a high level of what R&E does, and I obviously it kind of gives say our listeners an idea. And if anybody ever, please comment in the comment section on YouTube if you have any questions on that, because I definitely want to, give you more answers or more insights on it, because I think it could help you in the past, I mean, or present, to say, or even if you're looking for employment, I mean, obviously we're always looking to, grow
Yes.
our workforce. And to say, like, that's the reason that I wanted to bring Bill on here to give you an idea of what his new role is going to be. And it's going to be the workforce engagement manager for R&E. Bill, can you kind of give us an insight of what that new role is going to be and how that is going to benefit the company, and a background of, maybe a little in-depth background of your past within R&E?
Sure. Sure. So I started in this industry with an integrator. Shortly after I left the Army, I worked for a couple of small manufacturing plants, but then I got in with an integrator that built assembly lines. I learned robot programming. That was where my education was. And so I understood what it was like to be on the road, to live out of a suitcase for a decade and a half. It's a tough life. As I came to R&E, I actually came to DC Automation. It wasn't R&E yet at the time, but I came over when we were dabbling in being an integrator. I came in to manage the robotics integration, and that quickly merged into me working with and eventually running the entire field service group. I worked in facilities for a while. I worked in the product build group and operations for a while. But recently, Dan realized there was a problem within the company. The problem hadn't festered to the point of being a real issue yet, but he felt it because he's got a very close relationship with the company and the employees. And he made a heartfelt request to a couple of us senior managers and his executive team. Hey, we gotta fix this. We gotta find a way to help our employees know that they're cared about, to change any of the systems and policies in the company that aren't directly working for the employees. And we worked it over 100 different ways and said this person isn't in the company unless we look right inside this core group. And that's when I volunteered. I told them, I have a heart for people. My graduate degree is in ministering to and helping people. And so I just felt led to just raise my hand and say, hey, if you can backfill me in the field service group, I'd be more than happy to jump into this and really take it on.
Yeah. So what is it? I guess let me rephrase that. What is the workforce engagement manager's main role, or what is your main role to helping the employees? Like, is it basically listening and kind of hearing what their requests are? Is it, can you kind of enlighten me on that?
Yep. Yep. So when you look at workforce engagement, it's easier to call it employee care.
Okay.
That's the way I refer to it. When you simmer it down in a pan, that's what it is. You're caring for the employees, and it's creating a company that shows that. Now, R&E doesn't have to be taken from zero care up to a higher level of care, because that's how we started. Danny was always big on caring for his people. So it's just nudging the company back in true north direction from where it was founded. It's updating our policies, training our leaders, evaluating our benefits, all to make sure the end goal is that the employee knows that they're cared for. And
Yeah.
for us, it's not a business practice. It's not for the bottom line of the company. We're not looking to see revenue grow because of this. We want to create a caring culture where the employee feels like, yes, this company has my back. This is a place where I can stay, where I'm valued. And that's the end goal for us.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, just for our listeners as well, I know Bill keeps saying Danny Jardeski is the owner of R&E. They say he's the one that is showing care and wanting to proceed with this. They say to give Bill the role. So
Yeah. Sorry, we're not clarifying that. It's just for the longest time, it's been me and you as two dudes just talking and buddies. And I assume but you've got a huge audience, so I apologize.
Yeah, no, you're fine. It's, I'll do that periodically here and there. Not a big deal. So with the workforce engagement and employee care, what do you see the challenges are? Because I mean, R&E has employees everywhere. I mean, we have employees traveling to California, Iowa, and then we also have 5 internal plants. 4 in Michigan, 1 here in South Carolina. What is the scope of that? Like, I mean, it's big.
Yeah. The biggest challenge we're seeing right now, and look, I apologize because I'm still measuring my tenure in this role in weeks and not months and years. So I'll have a lot more data for you in years and a lot more case studies. Say, hey, this is what we did. Here's how we're growing. But right now, from the initial surveys and initial discussions we're getting back from the people, the number one thing they want to see improved is communication. We're doing that through a variety of new projects. The newsletter is a big one, where we've got an employee newsletter that we launched. We're working very closely on making sure there's manager touch points with the employees, so they have a lot of real scheduled FaceTime with their managers. In our plants, we're developing engagement walls. I don't want to sound Orwellian like 1984 here, but this is a place where it's a large screen, and it not only scrolls a lot of did you know company information, but then it breaks off and gives them their KPIs and where the plant needs to improve. And then it goes to the newsletter, and then it goes to upcoming events. So just a way to get more information to the people.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're basically looking at like tracking like trends and say kind of seeing like, hey, where can we improve overall is really what you're
okay. Definitely.
Okay. No, that's very interesting because, I mean, obviously coming from the field, right? I mean, when you can't reach your manager, it becomes tough, right? But I mean, usually there's somebody else within the company that you can, which is helpful, or another employee that has, that reach to get there. Me coming from the field as a controls engineer, I definitely experienced that. And I always give my old manager, Dave Bagansky, a hard time because I always called him on 11:15 every year. So, and it was opening day every year in Michigan, and he still will not let me live that down. I made sure this year I didn't call him though.
That's good.
No, that's really great. So what? How are we looking at this? Like, we're doing this for our own internal employees, but how are we also looking at like employee care when we're like trying to attract and retain talent as well within R&E?
Well, as far as that, I mean, we do a lot of recruiting, but we're finding that, and I mean, the move and the desire is that as our people feel cared for, they tell other people that they're cared for. It's all measured in that employee satisfaction metric that we're tracking very closely. But as our employees feel better about R&E and about their role here, they tell others, because our key recruiting efforts come through word of mouth. It's all employees talking to people. It's a lot of internal recruitment that way. So yeah, we're hoping that as we continue to steer the ship back to its true north, that we get, it's all referrals. We get better referrals and more referrals, and it's coming from the voice of an employee who can tell these referrals, yeah, they care about you.
Yeah. Yeah. And care, they say with the employees referring a lot of people, I mean, it's really good. Because they say you can definitely tell that, hey, when an employee refers us, they say, hey, they care about me. Every day I can, call my manager if I needed to, or get in touch, which is big.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lucrative thing to, I guess, how would I put that? Retain, talent, and keep our current talent active all the time. So yeah, no, I totally agree. So with that, what is like the most important area of focus that you have as the new like workforce engagement manager? What areas are you really focusing on and like trying to connect within the company's vision of this, like this whole new role?
So I'm focused right now. It's a broad net. I'm trying to wrap my arms around a lot of data to figure out where we're at, to get a good solid baseline, and then to attack equally effective programs that work for our product group, which are all in our plants and go home every night, versus our field service team, who are in a hotel every night and lead a radically different lifestyle. So something we do in our plants is not going to affect them in the same way. It's two different animals. So we're trying to do things for both sides of the business that affect them equally, so that each side sees the bang for their buck and feels the employee care.
Okay. Do you have an example of what you like, I guess, where you're trying to narrow that down on both the employee field service side and on the, I guess, facility side? Say, do you have like an idea? Or I know we've looked at like a couple things. You and I have talked about it, and they say, I mean, I'm just going to give an example of one for the field service side as a gym membership. We're always wanting to be healthier. Is that kind of the one of the examples that you're looking at?
Yeah, to focus directly on the field service side, the employees who are out living in a hotel room, we're looking at things that can give them a more rounded out life, a little bit better life while they're living on the road. It's things like you said, gym membership. There has to be a way. I'm just in the infancy of looking it over and seeing how we can provide this, but we're definitely looking at that. Some of the things we've heard is I don't see my manager enough. I haven't ever met anybody from R&E. We're working on an employee orientation process to where all of these people can come in once a quarter, the new hires, and meet everybody and understand, get a little bit of a flavor of the company. And then there's odds and ends, like my rental car is too small. I'm a big person and you want me to drive around in a Kia Spec. I don't know if Kia has a model that's a spec, but or my hotel allowance is insufficient. I'm getting the same hotel allowance that I had in Arkansas in San Francisco, and it's just not working in San Francisco. So there's a lot of ways we can work even in the quoting process with our customers to make sure that when the employee's in the field, it's a much more comfortable situation for them.
Yeah. And I mean, like, we're talking to a lot of people talking a lot about how, people in the field and like obviously in a, manufacturing plant. Can you kind of give what a typical day of a R&E, field service engineer, what their typical day is of a field service engineer in R&E? Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's very unique, as you can imagine. And I lived it in an integrator, so my experience is very similar. You wake up and go to sleep every day in a hotel. You're eating from restaurants. You're not getting a home-cooked meal typically. they're always on the outside at the work site. You're not part of that crew. You are the contractor, right? So there's always a little bit of that stigma. And then these guys have to go into a plant and constantly prove themselves. You go in, you work hard, you show your skills. That plant's like, oh my gosh, this guy is great. This gal is great. The job ends and you go and you start that process all over again. You go to the next customer and they don't know you from Adam or Eve, depending.
Yep.
And you have to prove it all over again. So it's a very unique environment, from them displaying their skill sets, knowing exactly what the customer needs and how to work best in that environment. It's tough. I'll hand it to them. It's a tough life to live, but gosh, our people just shine. Time and time again, they shine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is 100% correct. I mean, we're helping countless customers. I mean, usually we have around at any point in time, I say around 50 to 60 active customers at any given time, with multiple employees working at these sites, which is huge for our growth and continuing to build. So what would be like common concerns and like feedbacks from those guys is, say, because as they face challenges, like one of the challenges that they're facing is they're going home, to a hotel room. What is their feedback, from those field service guys? Like, when obviously I've heard you say like not being able to reach their manager at times or something like that. Is there any other feedback that you've kind of gotten from them as you've grown into your role of, workforce engagement manager?
Yeah, again, it's all around those areas, and it's dependent by trade. A robot programmer is going to have a little bit of a different feedback than a maintenance tech, because some of these maintenance techs travel with a full toolbox, and we're asking them to jump on a plane because the customer doesn't want to drive their own vehicle. So we're working on a bunch of different things like that. I was at a plant mid last week, and I got to talk to a small crew there, and they said the one fella drove his truck because he has rolls of cable and I/O modules for robots and all this stuff that he uses out of his own stores for the customer. He says, but you guys told me I had to have a rental car, so I'm not getting any gas receipts or anything out of that. I said, my goodness, man, this is something we got to address. So far, the feedback's been really good. That's not common among everybody, but if we can start picking these things off one at a time, word gets out that we're really taking care of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're almost like trying to improve, like, I guess, company communication with, within, the whole company, with like one individual, yourself, basically, to, hey, if I can't reach my manager, I can always talk to Bill, or I can always get a hold of Bill. Is that kind of what we're like trying to do and prepare for as we grow? I mean, I know we're always actively trying to grow, and build the company even bigger than what it is today.
I've rolled this out to each of the plants and to the field service group. And the one thing I said is, I'm not going to be a replacement for your manager. There's a few areas I won't dabble in, but I'm always available. If you can't reach the guy, the gal, your department manager, please call me. If you got a concern outside of managerial duties, please call me, text me, email me. I'll get back to you. I would love to sit and chat and figure out how we can make life better for each person.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And actually, that's kind of perfect, because I do have one last question, and then obviously we can kind of wrap it up here. But I wanted to know, how does fostering a culture of engagement in the field contribute to long-term employee retention and reduce turnover in these high-demand roles? I mean, we have people sending us info all the time looking for, that expert. And I mean, we have a lot of experts within R&E. How do we retain and reduce that turnover, say, with the new role here? And I know that's a big goal of ours as well. So how are we looking at that?
Well, that's always the struggle. If you notice, the current generation that is coming out of college or coming out of the trade programs, and we're seeing them here, the work at a job for 35 years and retire from the same place just doesn't happen anymore. There's a lot of movement. And retention is a very big problem for us, as it is for all of our like-minded, like-sized business, all of our contemporaries and our competitors. Retention is a huge problem. because it saps your company's culture. Any kind of culture you have goes out the door when somebody leaves. They take a portion of it with them, and it has to be relearned. And it's estimated in, the American economy, it's upwards of $15,000 of revenue walks out the door with a person.
Yeah.
So not only is that person leaving feeling uncared for, but it costs up to $15,000 to recruit and hire and train and redeploy a replacement. That's a big issue.
Yeah.
So when people are cared for, they feel it.
Yeah.
They feel it, and then they talk about it. And when they talk about it amongst themselves, whether it's in our plants or in individual work sites out in the field, it just creates a feeling of camaraderie and a caring culture.
Yeah.
So we have to care for our people. I think retention and recruiting are going to take care of themselves. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but if we care for our people, I think that retention is going to see a huge shift.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're looking at like retention of an employee, it's really big when they're happy where they're working. And I think that us at R&E and, as a management team at R&E, we truly care about, the employees that we're, sending out on the road and in the plant. We're actively trying to improve, I guess, work-life balance, to say whatever's needed, right, to basically say keep them employed at R&E and, and provide for them. So yes, I would agree. Well, Bill, let's say I appreciate you taking the time to be on Tech Talk with R&E. How can, our employees or, customers, let's say, reach out to you if ever, needing anything, in the future here?
So email, text. So my email is wsteward, WSTEWARD at reautomated.com. I don't know if I'm giving out my phone number or not.
You don't have to give out. Usually they say we do LinkedIn. They say or email, right?
You can reach out to me via LinkedIn. I'm active on that as well. And then for our employees, check out the newsletter. There's all sorts of places on the newsletter where you can click here to connect, engage in surveys. You can reach out to me directly, and I'll be quick to respond. There have been several situations already where somebody clicks a link or emails me, and I'm on them next day with how can we help.
Awesome. Yep. Looking forward to it. Well, hey, everybody, I appreciate you guys listening. This is Tech Talk with R&E. I'm your host, Jordan Dieterle, signing off.
Thanks, Jordan.